Okay, so welcome to our cell activation patches, also known as photobiomodulation patches, phototherapy patches, cell activation patches. We're so glad that you are here today. We're going to be focusing on the Fantastic Five, which are we have 11 patches, but we have 5 of them that take care of the primary systems of the body. So we'll be discussing the Fantastic Five today. And the thing to know is that we are going to review what the mother stem cell activation patch, etc., are. Before we do that, I want to give our little disclaimer, because the patches, in fact, are not intended to treat, prevent, or cure any disease. We do not heal, cure, treat, or diagnose, nor do we offer any protocols. The suggestions do not replace the diagnosis and treatment by a qualified licensed healthcare professional. We strongly recommend you consult with your doctor. And concerning your specific health challenge and treatment needed, no medical claims are being made with the suggestions here. And yes, although these are intended for human use, many of our patients, clients actually use the patches on themselves as well as their pets. Okay, the US, let me kind of bring you up to speed, because there's been a lot of changes in the last, I'd say about 90 days, 6 months to 90 days. And the US Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has taken the position that all claims surrounding stem cells and healing, even those from natural products, will be regarded as a drug claim. So the FDA also asserts that claiming that the use of light to elevate peptides such as GHKCU is inappropriate for a general wellness product. So as a result, we can't say that, although we have 90 clinical studies to show that there was a significant activation of not just the stem cells, but the use of the own body's infrared light to activate the stem cells. So I'll be making the distinction as to what we used to be able to say and what we can no longer say, because we want to be compliant with the FDA. The other thing is we are FDA Class 1. This is an FDA Class 1 medical device. And it is, all of these patches are made in FDA registered facilities. We'll get into that a little bit later. So I wanted to talk about, where did this all come from? Back in 1973, Dr. Lauren Picard discovered that GHKCU copper peptide activated 1/3, that's 33% of previously dormant stem cells, turning genes to a younger and healthier state. So I want you to think about that for a moment, because when we are born, we have 23,688 genes. That's almost 24,000 genes. That's what's forming you in your mother's womb. So what are stem cells? So stem cells are pluripotent cells. And you're like, well, that doesn't help much because I don't know what the word pluripotent means, but let me break it down for you. Pluripotent simply means, pluri means plural, potent is potential. So it just means that there's plural potentials, many potentials. So any stem cell that you have is pluripotent. It's like a smart cell that has 100% of the programming that you need from conception until you take your last breath. So any given cell has the programming to make cardiac cells, enterocytes, which are your digestive cells in your stomach and your intestines, fat cells, red cells, epithelial cells, which are skin tissue cells, nerves, etc. So let's go back to when you were conceived in your mother's womb. So when you had your mother's ovum that united with your father's sperm at conception, you now have complete information to the tune of 23,688 stem cells. Prior to that, the ovum could not create a life by itself, and neither could the sperm. But now you have complete information. And immediately you have this rapid generation of cells that all are smart cells, pluripotent cells that can now form you into an embryo in your mother's womb, so that 6 to 8 weeks later, we can actually evidence and witness through an ultrasound or a Doppler sonar the heartbeat of that little embryo. And if you fast forward 36 to 40 weeks later, that little embryo then grows into a fully formed fetus that then becomes a newborn baby. If you keep on fast forwarding the life, the video of that particular life being, you will notice that by the time you're 30 years old, 50, That's 50% of your stem cells turn off for no other reason than you are aging. They didn't disappear, they're not damaged, they're not destroyed. They simply go dormant as a function of age. And if you continue to fast forward to the age of 60, now you have 90% of your stem cells turn off. So you only have a remaining 10% of your stem cells from age 60 till your last breath. And the thing to be aware of is think about your body as a temporary housing unit, okay? And if you look inside that body, your stem cells are very much like printer ink cartridges, like you see here. When you have brand new ink cartridges in your printer and you make color copies, black and white copies, the copy is indistinguishable from the original because you have 100% of your ink, right? Like 100% of your stem cells. But when you've used up 70, 80, 90% of those ink cartridges, now you have a faded version of the original. Same thing, whether it's color or whether it's black and white. The same thing is true with your stem cells. When you only have 30, 20, 10% of your stem cells left, then you start to have incomplete information and a faded version of the original until you put a stem cell activation patch on like this. This is simply a mechanical device that redirects the light from inside your body back into the body, because this is acting like a mirror. So we'll talk about that at greater length. So let's talk about how do these patches work? Like I mentioned a second ago, these are simply a mechanical device. This is no different than putting a solar panel on your home, on the roof of your home, and that solar panel is getting light from the sun and it's providing now energy, light source for the inside of your dwelling of your home. And this is doing very much the same thing. We have infrared light, near infrared, infrared light throughout our entire bodies. Every single cell, we have 56 trillion cells in the body, and every one of those cells has electrons. And through our blood, we have electrolytes, which are simply packets of nutrients and information that we get from our environment because we eat our environment. Our food, in fact, is a light barcode to provide us light and nutrients and information and oxygen in the form of an electrolyte, but it's all a light transmission, no different than photosynthesis when a plant receives light from the sun. So now you have infrared light inside your body. In fact, if I were to look at you through night vision goggles, I would see you glowing in the dark because the infrared light is not contained just within the skin walls. You actually glow in the dark. In fact, our military and our law enforcement uses those infrared light, night vision goggles to see you glowing in the dark. And that infrared light, as you touch yourself, you'll notice that you're about 98.6, 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's just the measurement of the heat that's generated by that infrared light inside your body. So by bouncing back, if you were to look at a diamond crystal, because this is mimicking a diamond crystal. So if you look here and make believe that I'm flashing a flashlight on these diamonds, you will notice that the light reflects back from the source of the light, bounces off of the crystal, and it reflects it back to your eyes. And now you're witnessing all the different colors of that prism, right? Does that make sense? This is mimicking a diamond crystal. These patches are made of organic sugar crystals, organic salt crystals, organic hydrogen, oxygen, and water crystals, and an organic blend of a proprietary blend of organic amino acids. And those crystals are arranged in a very specific geometrical pattern, and it's set to a very specific frequency to effectuate what this stem cell activation patch. Each patch has a different pattern and a different frequency to create the effect. In the case of X39, the mother stem cell activation patch, what it does. So let's talk about what phototherapy is, because this is photobiomodulation. Photobiomodulation simply means photo is light, biological, because we're biological beings, and modulation simply means movement and it means change. So phototherapy has been defined as the use of ultraviolet light for its healing effects, and the LifeWave patches have been specifically developed to reflect light in the infrared and visible light bands back onto the skin where this patch has been placed. So supported by normal electrodermal skin conductance, the human body gives off a number of materials biochemically, including particulate release. All that means particulate release is tiny little particles are released as a reaction to this light activation. Gas emission, ultraviolet, infrared, near-infrared, and visible spectrum light. This then stimulates the area of the skin, producing improved physiological effects, and variations on phototherapy have been used for at least 100 years or more. And in that time, there's been very little evidence of negative side effects. So this suggests that this is a relatively untapped option for healing with relatively few risks. So I want you to notice that these are non-transdermal. So what's transdermal? What's non-transdermal? Non means no. Transdermal means transferring into the dermis. Dermis means skin. So nothing transfers into your skin. These crystals are not being absorbed by your skin. These crystals are a mechanical structure to act like a diamond crystal to reflect back the different bands of infrared light that is coming from your body, and it goes back into your body up to 4 inches deep, activating a peptide and GHKCU, etc. We'll talk about what each patch does in just a moment. So these are non-invasive, nothing invades the skin. They're organic, holistic, FDA-compliant Class 1 medical devices under the general wellness category, and we manufacture our products at FDA-registered facilities in the United States. And our facility in Ireland is registered with the Irish Medicine Board, which is the highest authority in the European Union. We manufacture our products to the same standards as a medical device. And in fact, our facility in Ireland is ISO 9001 and ISO 13485. And that's a quality standard per our scientist, inventor, and founder, David Schmidt. If anybody wants to watch the entire video where David Schmidt talks a little bit more about that, let me know. I'd be happy to share this with you. So it's important that you drink when you're on the patches, even if you're not on the patches. I tell people this is great that you're learning about the patches, but listen, even if you decide not to do the patches, just as a case of general well-being for health and wellness, no matter what, everybody needs to be drinking. No exceptions. Everybody needs to be drinking 50% of your weight in fluid ounces of water. And if you're not sure that this is a big deal, let me tell you, it is a very big deal. Why? I want you to think about this for a second. Did you know that when you're 2% dehydrated, you begin to feel thirst in your mouth? Just 2% dehydration and you feel parched. You feel thirsty. At 8% dehydration, this is hydrated DNA. Your DNA is 92% water. Water is the primary structure that holds up your DNA. When you're just 8% dehydrated, your DNA starts to unravel. Yes, it's alarming, but it's true. Your DNA starts to unravel. It starts to fall apart. When your DNA starts to fall apart, do you think that perhaps you might have a lot of symptoms, the breakdown of different systems of the body and so forth? Yeah, you betcha. That's the beginning of disease. That's the beginning of syndromes. Syndrome is simply the malfunction of a system in the body. It's acting haywire. So just 8% dehydration and your DNA starts to fall apart. It unravels. 10% dehydration, you lose your mind. You're not able to think, you're not able to process anything. Your brain is very hydrophilic. It's mostly like 45% fat, and it's primarily water. It's very, very much a water-loving organ, and it sits with cerebral spinal fluid, which is primarily primarily saline. It's cerebrospinal fluid, so it has a lot of lipids and salts in it, and it bounces around inside your cranium, bathed in that water. And when you are dehydrated, your brain shrinks. In fact, a lot of things in your body shrink when you're dehydrated. So at 10%, you lose your mind. And guess what happens at 12%? 12% heart system shut down. You're dead. Everything on the inside just completely shuts down. No, you cannot survive that. We all die at 12% dehydration. So it kind of gives you an idea why it is so important to keep properly hydrated. Babies are about 82% hydrated from the time they come out of the womb, because they come out of this amniotic sac. When they come out of the amniotic sac and they're born at first, they're nice and juicy and they're very plump. And as we age, by the time we get to 60, we're about 55%. Used to be that as little as 20 years ago, the average 60-year-old was about 65% hydrated with water. But now the average 60-year-old is only 55% hydrated, because we have a lot of environmental factors like EMFs, 5G, et cetera, that's around us, not to mention LED lights, which we'll talk about the effects of LED light on the body. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water from the time you get up in the morning until you go to sleep. So, oh, by the way, for those of you who are wondering, well, how often or how long are we supposed to wear these patches? So when you get started on the patches, you're going to wear the patches 12 hours on, 12 hours off, because our body is on a 24-hour cycle. We are Bluetooth, if you will, to the sun and to the earth. The sun and the earth are a diurnal system. We have 12 hours of daylight, and then we have 12 hours of nighttime, sunrise to sunset, and then sunset to sunrise. Our bodies, we think of eyes usually as just cameras to see and so forth, but really our eyes are a circadian rhythm clock, and we have a neurobiochemical reaction just by seeing sunlight. And so not only do we have that circadian rhythm clock that is Bluetoothing us to the earth, but we also have photoreceptors, like all these little millions of little eyeballs, photoreceptors throughout all of our skin. So as our skin feels and sees the light, it actually creates particulate release. It creates basically photosynthesis. It's how we process different nutrients. Very important to get exposure to the sun first thing in the morning, from the time you get up until 10 o'clock in the morning, for at least 10, 20 minutes. Unrobed, UVA light, UVB light, because that's how we naturally get vitamin A from UVA. UVB gives us vitamin D, and it's our own natural vitamin A and vitamin D, which not only turn into hormones inside of the body, but the moment the sun touches your skin, your pulse ox goes up. For those of you who wear pulse oximeters, for those of you who have Apple Watches, you can go outside wearing your Apple Watch, get in the sun, and you will see your pulse ox immediately spike as soon as you go out. So the bottom line is you wear the patches every day for the next 12 months, 12 hours on, and then you're going to match the 12 hours that you've been signaling your body. You're going to match it with 12 hours of rest, repair, and restore. Okay? So I'm going to share with you next story of Dr. John Harmon. When he came to us 2 years ago, he's a brain specialist. He does QEEGs, originally a chiropractor, and he came to us right after he had been diagnosed with a right bundle branch blockage, was very dismayed because he went to 3 cardiologists. All 3 of them told him, this is inoperable. You're going to have to be on heart meds the rest of your life. We will closely monitor you, but there's nothing that we can do for you other than monitor this. And he said, there has to be something that exists out there that can fix this for me. And that's when the stem cell activation patches, which we are no longer allowed to call them stem cell activation patches because of what the FDA just recently said in the last 90 days. So we're going to call them cell activation patches, okay? So that's when he was introduced to this life-saving technology, these patches. And he began to wear these patches. And when he began wearing these patches, I don't have the order of these pictures reversed. This is actually what he looked like when he first came to us. He had gray hair. He had fine lines and wrinkles on his forehead where they were horizontal. You can see 3 vertical wrinkles. You could have played tic-tac-toe on his forehead, and then they go sideways. He had thinning eyebrows, and most of it was gray of what eyebrows he had. He had a lot of inflammation, as you can see in the eyes, and a lot of wrinkling around his cheeks and the chin. And over the next 14 months that he wore the patches, it was in month 14 that not only did his hair gradually over that time turn brown, original hair color, it started from the back of his head and then went forward. He still has gray on the side, but of course his skin started to get younger, plumper, the fine lines and wrinkles, because the patches are replacing damaged cells with the original cells. Anything that has cellular damage, that means there's been oxidative stress. Again, they're smart cells. They know that, first of all, those pluripotent cells, their job is to replace damaged cells, damaged tissue. So it immediately goes to work that, and it has enough smart programming inherent in it to know what is the highest order of priority to keep your body alive. So it gives priority to anything related to the heart, to the liver, to the brain. And then it has its secondary, its tertiary, third. It's like a ranking system. But the bottom line is that not only did he have in the 14th month, his right bundle branch blockage was confirmed by all 3 cardiologists. They had never seen this in their entire careers, didn't even know or think that this was possible. That right bundle branch blockage simply disappeared. And it was because of this rapid cellular repair that was taking place by him drinking water every day and activating his own natural pluripotent cells that were previously dormant, and now they've been turned back on. The moment it touches your skin, it's instant. Your pluripotent cells turn back on. Really quite exciting. All right. Oh, by the way, it's good for you to know also, it's like, think about it, 30 is not that old. Well, at 25, already your fibroblasts begin to decline in their production of collagen. Collagen, in case you didn't know, you may or may not be aware of the fact that collagen is the #1 building block protein of the body. Now, lucky for you guys, those of you who are on or who are getting on the cell activation patches, this activates collagen production in the body. So let's talk about Barry. Barry was the first person that I patched who had long haulers, and long haulers COVID. He had had COVID 18 months before, and since then he was dragging. He had horrible headaches, nausea every morning, would wake up with headaches, nausea. He had low stamina. He had terrible fatigue, and he was just having a terrible time. And he lives in Toronto, Canada. So we started him on the patches on June 23rd. He got his shipment in the afternoon. So rather than have him wait till the next morning, typically the patches are worn during the day. Some of the patches can be worn at night, but primarily they're day patches. So rather than have him wear the Fantastic 5 start in the morning, he really needed a good night's rest. So we went ahead and we started him that early evening, and he started to wear the patches. And then I told him, make sure you get back to me tomorrow. I want to know, how did you sleep? And let me just monitor you. So the very next day, I got this text message from him that says, hey, Lillian, just a note. Don't know if it's a placebo or the stem cell activation patches work that quick or what. But I had really good sleep, a little better sleep than other nights. I fell asleep quicker. Today, I'm just on a high. I am ecstatic, and Gwen sees that in me. And I feel really, really good physically. When I awoke this morning, no headache, no nausea. Yeah, it's just been a phenomenal day. So thank you, and I'll update you as we go along. Hope all is well. Bye. So I got to tell you, this immediately prompted me to call him, as you can only imagine. And he said, yeah, if I get no other benefit than just this already, he goes, this is worth $1 million. Needless to say, he improved in many other ways after. This is my friend, Kathy McCarthy, lives in Nevada. And when she started on the patches, she was very skeptical, very, very skeptical. And she was suffering with autoimmune disorder from 3 breast implants that she had for 33 years. And it was really wreaking havoc in her body. And so when we started her on the patches in January, you could see it was January of 22. She was 62 years old at the time. She had a lot of wrinkles on her chest. And so we told her to take a profile shot and her neck and her chest, and to take a picture every 30 days, refused to do a profile shot. So we don't have a before. We only have a before of her neck and her chest. But she was willing to take those every 30 days. And then she posted this was a year ago, October, not October of 2023, because as of this recording, this is December 2023. This was October of 2022 when she put these 4 pictures up on Facebook. And I was like, wow, these are incredible results. So I got on the phone on a Zoom with her and I said, oh, would you come and share this? You know, I'm going to share this on my Facebook page, my immediate friends and followers. They're going to know that this is legit, but they're going to share it with others who are going to share it with others. And if I were even one level down or 2 that they've shared, I would have thought, you know what, this is Photoshop. And so I want people to see you, because when you do a Zoom call like this, you could see a person's face. You can't, you know, alter the skin texture and color and things like that. So she said, sure, I'll do that. She goes, but I won't give you a profile picture. I said, but you're gorgeous, but they'll be able to see you. She says, that's fine, I'll do the video, but I'm not gonna provide a profile shot. So we did the video call. So you can go to damelillianwalker.com. It points, that URL points to my YouTube channel called Love and Money Secrets TV. And when you go there, you'll see her. And she looks like this. And you can clearly see that her neck is fine, her chest is fine, her face is fine. Clearly, she's 63 now. She does not look like a 62, 63, 60-something year old. She looks like a 35, 40-something year old. And she's beautiful. And so after the broadcast, after we did that Zoom, she changed her mind and she said, okay, I changed my mind. Here's my profile picture. So I'm now able to share this with you guys. So if you'd like to go to damelillianwalker.com, you'll see the thumbnail for that video has this. But the great thing is everyone is impressed with how all these wrinkles went away. And in her, I think she said it was in her 4th or 5th month that her husband was the one who really noticed, like in April, that her crepey, she called it crepey skin around her torso and her arms. He said, oh, hun, look, you don't have any crepey skin in your torso or your arms anymore. And so that was very surprising to her because she had not noticed. It was he was the one who noticed. But again, the most impressive thing is that she had autoimmune disorder for 33 years from the breast implants. This outward repair and absence of wrinkles are just oxidative stress. It's damaged tissue. It's showing you all the repair that was going on the inside of her body, which is really the big story. So again, if you want to watch that video, you can go to Love and Money Secrets TV and you'll see that. This is my story. There's been quite a few podcasts and YouTube channels that have asked me to come on. You could check the Wellness Superheroes, Life Force Network on Rumble, as well as YouTube, many others as well. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but my story is that in 2017, June 17th, 2017, I was hit by a bus just 3 blocks shy of finishing a 16-mile bike ride. And I suffered a traumatic brain injury, a C5, C6 neck injury, an L1, L5 lower back injury. And I also had a laceration from my ankle to my knee. That caused a whole bunch of other problems. And my neurobiochemistry was completely out of whack. I lost 10 pounds I couldn't afford to lose. I had all sorts of tics. I had like hard blinking. I had nystagmus, which most people have never heard of. Nystagmus is a neurological condition that happens as a result of a traumatic brain injury, where you will focus on something and you can't focus. Your eyes start to rattle back and forth for a few seconds at a time. And there's, everything shakes when you're trying to look at something. Like for us, we just look at something and it is. But I would look at something and out of nowhere, all of a sudden my eyeballs would shake. Very strange. I had tinnitus. I had this whole laundry list of all these things after I got hit by a bus. And I was in terrible pain. Long story short, after I got on the stem cell activation patches, no longer called stem cell activation patches, they're called cell activation patches. Just letting you know, because of that new change in the FDA. And we have a great relationship with them, so we want to preserve that relationship that we have. And all these things got cleared up as a result of my wearing these patches. Now, one of the things that I had that I was not aware of, it's possible that my neurologists may have told me, but because I had zero short-term memory after I got hit by the bus. It wasn't until my second year of being on the patches that I realized that I had zero short-term memory. So if you would have said something to me 15 minutes ago, if I would have read something 15 minutes ago, I would have no recollection of it. In fact, my daughter, who lived with me at the time, said to me after I came out of this, she said, yeah, I would talk to my brothers and we were like, I'm wondering if mom is starting to get dementia or Alzheimer's, because she would see me in the morning, say, oh, mom asked me to do her a favor or something. I would agree to it. And in the evening, she'd come home from work and I'd say, what are you talking about? I haven't seen you at all today. In fact, I haven't seen you since last night, or I haven't seen you in several nights. And she would look at me very dumbfounded. And so by the time I got on the patches, I had recovered some of my memory because I repatterned the brain to release physical and emotional trauma. So once I was aware that I had no short-term memory, I know that you can regrow nerves in the brain. And so I started to repattern my brain, where now in order to memorize something or to learn something, I would have to read it. I would have to highlight it in physical form, do note cards, outlines, do that 2 or 3 times in order to commit that to memory. Now contrast that with 3 to 4 weeks after being on the patches. I was making my way reading through 90 clinical studies, because we have 90 independent clinical studies done in the United States, Europe, and Asia. And I was also learning what each one of these 12, at the time we had 12, now we have 11 cell activation patches. And then learning, of course, what the acupuncture points that we're putting these on. So I was reading these studies, and one in particular stood out at me, and it was a study it had to do with ice wave patch. And this particular, and it was Tang Maritas University that did this particular study. And I remember looking at the collection of keywords for that was organic, nanotechnology, photobiomodulation, and acupuncture points. And acupuncture. And I thought, wow, what a great group of keywords. We got to share this with people. So I said, normally they're talking about photobiomodulation, they're talking about organic and holistic, but not these other things. So I said, I gotta memorize that. So as I read the paper, it also had the abstract. A lot of research papers, the abstracts are not as clear, but this one happened to be very clear and very, very, I'd say, user-friendly for lay people. So I thought, wow, I got to commit this to memory too. So I'm definitely going to want to memorize this. So I took the paper and I literally, because I was sitting here when I was reading it. So I literally took it, the printed copy, and put it aside, then went on with my day, did my other Zoom calls. And then in one Zoom call that I was doing, all of a sudden, somebody asked me a question, like somebody might ask me a question later on this Zoom, and immediately out of my mouth, without any effort whatsoever, I was able to remember the keywords organic, nanotechnology, photobiomodulation, acupuncture points. And it said in the abstract, which I can still quote it to this day, because my memory has gotten monumentally better since then. So it said that the ice wave stem cell activation patch uses organic nanotechnology, applying traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture points using nanotechnology, and that it resulted in a very significant effect on all the subjects who applied the stem cell activation patch for the reduction of pain from 50 to 100%. So I thought, wow. So when that came out of my mouth, I was actually seeing the paper in my head, but it came out, there was no effort for me to learn or to memorize that. So in that moment, I had the awareness that my first thought was, oh my gosh, my memory is as good as it was when I did pre-med at USC. And in a split second, I remembered that in November of my kindergarten year, I had eye surgery. And when you have eye surgery, when you have any kind of surgery, for the most part, you usually have general anesthetics. So based on what I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, here I'm thinking that the only traumatic brain injury I had was from getting hit by a bus while on my bike ride, but I actually had a traumatic brain injury when I was in kindergarten, which means that my entire academic career, I never had the benefit of my entire brain function. Now, you may not know this, but anybody who has had general anesthetics, for every time you undergo general anesthetics, there's 4 things that an anesthesiologist does. And I have anesthesiologists on my team that will concur. First thing an anesthesiologist does is he will wipe out your memory. So they give you amnesia. Number 2, analgesia. 3, hypnosis. 4, they paralyze your body because they don't want the surgeon to have you flinch or move so that he can do what he needs to do. So once they do those 4 things, then they lower your blood pressure, your respiration, etc. As they lower your vitals, pulse, heart rate, etc., you deprive the brain from oxygen. And as you deprive the brain from oxygen, that's what causes an inadvertent traumatic brain injury. It's a little bit of brain damage. So they don't do it out of malice. They simply do it to give you the best outcome for healing. Because if you were to remember, they know that the brain and the body keep score. The brain will store the memory in the left side of the brain, so that you recall the experience, but the actual energy is stored as an energy stress response because it's traumatic for the brain and it's traumatic for your body to be cut into. And so you have that energetic tension from when you had the surgery. And if you don't remember it, then you won't have that energetic tension. So they wipe out your memory so that you don't have something called an abreaction. So I realized in that moment, wow, I had that traumatic brain injury. So I never had the benefit of entire brain function all along, all that time. I had that undiagnosed TBI. So long story short, that's all behind me. Okay, so let's get into what each one of the Fantastic Five does. So again, we're talking about how our bodies are like house. This is like the equivalent of the foundation of your home, okay? And so this mother pluripotent cell activation patch is going to activate your cells by your own body's infrared light, which is going to reset 1/3 of your genes to a younger, healthier state, regenerate cells, replacing damaged cells, restore collagen, rebuild scar tissue, reduce fine lines and wrinkles, increase energy, increase sexual libido, antioxidants, anti-aging, anti-inflammation. If you're experiencing pain relief, within 3 to 4 minutes of applying the patch, you'll have a 50 to 100% reduction in pain. It also, a lot of people report improved hair growth, and you'll also get deeper, sounder sleep. The entire time I've been on these patches, and myself and many others, I can't think of anyone who's been on the patches who hasn't experienced a much deeper, sounder sleep since day 1 on the patches. So it's good to note also that we have a Veritas Concilium, which is just a true plan of action. It's a recommendation, a regimen, if you will, of using traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture points to actually magnify the effects of these patches on the body. So if you look in this diagram, we have 90 clinical studies. So all 90 clinical studies, every subject, the average was about 34 to 50 people in each study, ages 18 to 85. And we put it on governing vessel 14, which is your neck bump. If you just touch the back of your neck to the base of your neck, the top of your spine, you feel a bump there. That's where your brainstem goes down into your spinal column and signals your autonomic nervous system. So we attach the patches together so that just simply the adhesive overlaps. You always maintain the integrity of the crystal because you want that in its entirety to be signaling the body. So you have to maintain that integrity. So let's say 39, 49, glutathione, carnosine, and eon. So next we're going to talk about, this was your foundational patch, your mother. So next is the daughter activation patch. That's going to act like the bearing wall of your home. So this one protects you against radiation poisoning. It increases lean muscle mass, bone density, muscle mass, and strength. Increased energy, focus, cardiovascular function, protects you from EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, from 5G, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi radiation, TSA scanners, LED lights in your home, in your car, in the trains, in the planes, in your work environment. We no longer have incandescent bulbs in most commercial places and in homes. I know that in the state of California, it's illegal to buy incandescent bulbs for your home. So you can't get it like at a Home Depot Lowe's, Ace Hardware, Target. It simply doesn't exist. So what I do is I order incandescent red and incandescent white bulbs, and you probably see a little bit of red hue on here because I have four red incandescent bulbs and 2 clear. At sunset, I simply turn off the clear ones and just leave the red ones on after sunset to help my pineal gland. But the number one thing is I don't have LED lights, at least in my workplace, which I'm in this spot most of the day, as well as I don't have any LED lights in my bedroom. My kitchen, and most people's kitchen, you don't think about, wow, you're surrounded by LED lights. Your refrigerator, your dishwasher, your stove, your microwave, your electric pot, your cappuccino maker, your coffee maker, not to mention your Ninja blender, your food processor, your bread maker, all have LED lights. So you probably aren't aware of the problem with LED lights, but we'll tell you here in just a moment. So let me talk about the 3 next patches. And again, remember to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. I'll be reminding you one more time about that because it is that important. The other thing to note is that when you are dehydrated or unhydrated, what happens, not only do things shrink, including your brain shrinking, and again, you put your DNA at a compromising position because they're 92% water and they start to unravel when you get to 8% dehydration. The other thing is that your proteins inside the body, they actually fold. So when your proteins fold, that's the beginning of disease and decay inside of the body. Okay. So we're going to talk about glutathione. So this glutathione is a master antioxidant. It is the master detoxifier of the body. It is your master immune booster. This boosts your glutathione levels 300 to 600% within just 24 hours of applying a glutathione patch. It increases antivirals. It is a radioprotector against DNA damage. It improves skin appearance and helps promote relaxation and reduces stress. So let's talk about glutathione. One of the things that a lot of people are not aware of, the fact that glutathione supplements, you can't take it orally because as soon as the glutathione hits your stomach, the hydrochloric acid in your stomach acids basically destroy glutathione. So there's no benefit to oral glutathione. The only way to receive glutathione is, number one, organically through the insides of your body from activating your own pluripotent cells, or through an IV. Now, and a lot of people receive, in fact, my friend Jody Gravely, Dr. Stan's wife, actually, no, it wasn't Jody Gravely, it was actually Laura Balzer, who actually had glutathione drips. She would pay $450 twice a week to get glutathione drips intravenously. Takes about an hour, hour and a half, depending on your drip rate. So not only is it time consuming, but the other thing to note is that for when you first have a glutathione drip intravenously, that lasts for 7 minutes in your bloodstream. And then let's say it's 500 milligrams. For every 7 minutes, it halves till it dissipates entirely. So after 14 minutes, you only have 250 milligrams. After 21 minutes, you only have 125 milligrams until it dissipates and doesn't do you any good. Still then, people still receive great effects. But the reason why our people who wear the patches have such dramatic effects is that you have your own natural, not an exogenous, not an outside glutathione source. You're signaling your own glutathione levels to go back to what they were when you were a child. And now if your original blueprint called for 300% higher glutathione, it'll increase that within 24 hours of wearing your patches. So let's think about this. If you were to just wear X39, you would have a 30% uptick in glutathione. Fantastic? No, but that's pretty good compared to what you were before. However, when you wear the glutathione patch along with the mother and the daughter stem cell activation patch, what happens? You wear let's say you put your patches on at 10 this morning or at 8 this morning, let's say 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now, by tomorrow morning, your glutathione levels will be 300 to 600% higher within 24 hours, based on whatever your original blueprint indicates. So it's always perfect for you. So this is absolutely fantastic. Also to note that glutathione is a radioprotector against DNA damage. We can all benefit from that, right? So let me share with you this quote from a research paper because I thought this was fascinating, and pay close attention for those of you who have any issues or symptoms or diagnoses that involve any of these organs or organ systems. So the glutathione patches worn 12 hours daily over a period of 4 weeks produced a highly significant physiologic functional status of the pancreas, liver, gallbladder, intestines, left and right adrenals, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland, and a very significant improvement in pancreas with a statistical power of at least 72%. So, stated differently, all organs achieve significant cellular physiologic functional status improvement compared to a baseline with a statistical power of at least 91%. So the nanoscale glutathione patches improve organ function. Pretty impressive. So we've got 3 patches. Now we're going to go to our 4th patch, carnosine. So I want you to think, glutathione is the actual name of the master antioxidant that it's signaling, just the same as carnosine and eon. Carnosine, the root word to carnosine is carne. Carne, like carne asada tacos, carne in Latin simply means flesh. So this particular patch, it's a master antioxidant too. It's going to support and improve your cardiovascular system. All things that are related to your heart and muscle. It's going to improve healthy brain function, memory, focus, and brain processing time, strength, stamina, endurance, and it's going to detox your brain from aluminum and aid wound restoration. So I want you to think about the fact that, first of all, your heart there's 2 aspects of your heart. You have the muscular aspect of your heart and the pump aspect, where you have to have all the plumbing has to be clear. You can't have cholesterol, plaque, fat, can't have any buildup calcium inside of those arterial walls, or that blood can't get through those arteries to get up to your brain, to give your brain the oxygen and the electrolytes with the nourishment that it needs, right? If you have a good pump that has clear plumbing and the electrical conductivity of the heart is also there's no short circuits, then you got a great acting pump, then you're going to have great mental clarity, focus, brain processing speed, and so forth. If you have a compromise in the heart, then you're also going to have a compromise in the brain. The only exception to that are individuals who maybe you have great cardiovascular system, as did I when I got hit by a bus, but my head actually got hit literally from behind. And that's how I had the brain damage. So now my CPU got disconnected from the internet, so to speak. I had all that information inside there, but a lot of it I couldn't access it because of the brain damage. Your hypothalamus is in the back of your head, and your hypothalamus does control your short-term memory. So I had to repair and restore that, which is why this was so helpful for me when I was recuperating from getting all my memory back and just repairing and restoring and regenerating my body. I had such dramatic effects. Okay. So let's move on to, again, remember to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. I do recommend that you measure out your water every night before you go to sleep. As you finish drinking your 50% your weight, like if you're a 200-pound person, you're going to drink 100 ounces of water. I'm 103 pounds, so I drink 55 ounces of water, sometimes more, but a minimum of 55 ounces. And I measure it in 2 glass bottles. Some people might have a couple hydro flasks or a pitcher. Bottom line is, when you finish that at the end of the day, you refill it. And now when you wake up, you're going to start all over again. Okay. Eon. This next patch, our master antioxidant, is our anti-stress, also known as our happy patch. This raises anti-neoplasms. This increases the DHEA fountain of youth hormone, not to be confused with DHA. So look up the difference between DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, versus DHA. They're 2 entirely separate things. This one increases DHEA, fountain of youth hormone. Really fantastic. This patch will balance your left brain hemisphere and the right. Many of you are out of brain balance. And as you get on the patches, you're going to notice some of you, it's very noticeable. Some of you, it won't be as noticeable, but you will notice a balancing of your brain. And many people in the 3rd to 4th week It's not uncommon for people in the first few days, but sometimes in the third or fourth week, they're like, wow, I'm so much happier. I have way more energy, I have more mental clarity and focus, but I'm calm because this patch, as it balances your brain, your left and your right brain hemisphere, you may not be aware that your left hemisphere, your right hemisphere, they're two separate organs. They don't share information, even though your brain is an entire organ. It takes up about 18% of your body. However, this balances your left and your right brain hemisphere. And as it does that, if you have anxiety, if you have PTSD, your adrenals have released cortisol, and that's so that you have enough energy to respond that fight or flight response. So if you have a high stress, demanding, go, 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 work, 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 a lot of demands and stress and pressure and fix, fix, fix type of work environment, home environment, guess what? This patch is going to reduce your cortisol levels. So as your cortisol levels are reduced and your C-reactive proteins that go into your blood are also reduced, you have this calming effect where you're alert, you're energized, you're alert, you're not jittery though, and you feel calm. It really is a fantastic thing. So what are anti-neoplastins? These are simply peptides that are found in the blood of happy, healthy people. And the research studies show that they might stimulate your immune system and that these peptides might also kill certain cancer cells, or they might also prevent cancer cells from proliferating, growing, and multiplying. And in a clinical setting, they're used for various cancers, high cholesterol, brain swelling due to any kind of infection, whether it's encephalitis, meningitis, HIV, AIDS, Parkinson's disease, and other conditions. So it's usually administered through IVIG in a clinical or hospital setting. And just recently, in the last couple of years, about a year and a half or two, they now have a portable unit that people can leave the hospital with a portable unit if they need more long-term IVIG. But guess what? On these patches, the EON patch will actually activate your own original blueprint of anti-neoplastins so that you have this rapid repair going on. So it's regenerative medicine at its best. Oh, by the way, did you know that blue light that you get from LED lights, like in schools, in offices, your cars, like I said, trains, planes, automobiles, submarines, pretty much every vehicle, your car, you're bombarded with LED lights. If you went to a conference, like I just got back from A4M, the anti-aging and largest longevity regenerative medicine conference in the world, we're bombarded with LED lights from everywhere, from all the different devices, from the lighting fixtures and so forth. LED, halogen fluorescent lights, they basically destroy DHEA, which is the fountain of youth hormone. Blue light also destroys the capacity for you to have resistance to insulin. So you actually have inflammation and it causes insulin resistance. So therefore, inside each cell, you have a little organelle, a tiny organ that is responsible for processing ATP, which is energy in the body. So when you have that, it's dysregulated or it's destroyed, then of course that's the beginning of disease and sickness, right? So you're going to be able to repair and to unring the bell of damage. Even as you watch this presentation on a laptop, a cell phone, and a notebook, an iPad, etc., you get blue light toxicity from the screen. This affects the circadian rhythms. It destroys melatonin production, and you have melanopsin and melanocytes, melatonin, also in your eyes as well as in the brain. And so this is going to unring that bell and start to repair that. So let's open this up for questions. Let's see who here before we get into how much this costs. I want to make sure we answer all of your questions. Who has any questions? Just unmute yourself and we can begin to answer your questions. Hi,
Hey,
Carol.
Lillian. Ooh,
Yes,
go
Chris.
ahead, Carol.
How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic here.
Excellent. I just want to about the fluid, the amount of water that you drink, a question comes to mind. There's a lot of water in our if you eat a good diet, fruits, vegetables, so on and so forth. Does that count, or is that something that you take into consideration?
You know what? That's a great question. The truth of the matter is that you should be drinking actually clear water to hydrate, again, your DNA is 92% water. So it's really important to drink clear water. I've had a lot of people who ask, it's like, oh, well, can I drink vitamin water, or can I drink, some sort of flavored water? I'm like, well, would you take a bath in that or wash your hair with that? And they're like, oh, no, of course not. I'm like, well, why not? Like, well, because my skin would be sticky and my hair would be sticky. I go, exactly. Your body really needs that clear water. You could, some of that water could be in a tea form, like a lemon tea or any other kind of herbal type tea, but you want to be drinking at least 50%. You're going to get some additional water from celery, from zucchini, from, different, watermelon, for example. Watermelon is mostly water and sucrose, right? So, but that's additional water that will be brought into your body through whatever vegetables and fruits that you're having. So it really is 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. So thank you for asking that question.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question that you might want to get answered? Or even if you have a question about patch placement or moving your pouches or about acupuncture points, anything along those lines, or anything specific about the patches themselves.
Edgar Thomas has a good question.
Hi, Edgar. How can I help you? What question might you have?
Yes, in Telegram this week, there was 2 flyers talking about copper, the best copper to take, or copper supplement. Did you see those 2? And if you did, do you recommend those 2, or you have one that you recommend?
So I do take copper glycinate. I don't take that many supplements anymore. I used to take a lot of supplements, but I really don't take a whole lot of supplements anymore. But David Schmidt does recommend that you take copper glycinate. And I actually personally asked him when we were in Aruba. I asked him, I said, listen, I've got this lady who's allergic to copper. Is she able to take, because you're activating GHKCU copper peptide with the X39 patch and AHKCU copper peptide with the daughter cell activation patch. And I said, would she have any kind of an issue because she's allergic to copper? He said, no, because we're talking about the peptide. So it's not copper in its entire mineral form. You're using the peptide that's already inside your body. It's already inside you. So the 2 are totally separate. As far as the supplement is concerned, he mentioned in one of his broadcasts, the Pure brand. He doesn't condone, or he doesn't have any agreement or any affiliate or any financial gain with any supplement company. However, people have asked him in the past, well, is Pure good or whatnot? And he responded yes to that. So I immediately bought copper glycinate. I buy it through Amazon. So if you just put copper glycinate, you can get that through Amazon. That's what I do. And I get some of the supplements, like he mentioned also, there are 2 other supplements that he says that everybody should be on. In addition to copper glycinate, NAC, which is N-acetylcholine, and NMN, which is nanomononucleotide. It's basically resveratrol. So NMN, which is known as a reverse aging supplement, you can get that through Amazon as well. I get usually the Life Extensions brand through Amazon. Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Gail.
Hi, Gail.
I've got a question it may seem very simple and I should know this, but what does the Y age mean on carnosine and eon? They always call them Y age. What is that?
So you know what? I've had 2, 3 people in the last year actually ask that question. I haven't gotten around. I really need to ask corporate, what does Y age, what does it stand for? I don't really know the answer to that question. I think that it's Y age as in youthful age, or it could be Y age when you can age reverse. I'm not sure. I mean, that's just a lucky, if it happens to be that, that's a lucky guess. I don't know. I'm gonna have to, but you know what? I promise that by our next Zoom, 7 p.m. tonight, I will find out. I will ask.
Okay, thank you. Not
That's a great
urgent, but
question.
just curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I just haven't put it on my list of things to do, but I will, because people should know. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Anybody else with any other questions?
I had someone put in Telegram about a month ago that particular copper glycinate, I know I'm not saying it correctly, wasn't organic. Now, I'm assuming that's not true, right?
I always make sure that whatever I take is organic. Because the alternative is not acceptable. So I would always make sure that anything that you're putting in your body be organic, because you don't want something that's man-made and synthetic. It really confuses your body when you put something that's man-made or synthetic in it. So, for example, like something as simple like people, I mean, we all did like in high school where, you drink a Diet Pepsi and you think, oh, because it's 1 calorie or 0 calories. You're better off drinking regular soda, which is refined sugar, which is like poison in your body. But at least your brain recognizes sugar. It knows what to do with that. It knows that as your receptors in your tongue are like, oh, it's sugar. We know what to do with this. And the body uses glucose quite a bit for energy. So it knows how to metabolize that. And it can methylate. When you hear methylation, there's simply little receptors at the end of each cell that when you take sugar, it's like plugs in kind of like a Lego piece. So then that means it can methylate. But if you have a synthetic sugar, which is what's used in all the diet, fat-free, sugar-free stuff, then the brain goes, okay, you're tasting something that is sweet, but it's like, wait a minute, there's 0 calories here. We're getting shortchanged. Something is not right. Now your brain goes, wait a minute, we got to slow the metabolism down. We got to see what the heck is going on here. And when you have foreign substances like that in your body saves that as a xenoestrogen, which is like a foreign estrogen in the body. And then that gets stored in the fat tissue, which is, here or there, it doesn't matter. But if you're doing it day after day after day, weeks, months, years, you're going to have disease because it's just not good for the body. So I hope that answers your question. Was that clear enough?
Yes, thank you for confirming that. I always tell people that, and I've been doing this for a while, and I have no medical or no naturopath, studies or anything. I always told them, if you put things in your body that God didn't create, that starts the disease process automatically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So
I
you
think
want to, yeah, you're right about that. Any other questions?
I have a question about glutathione. Where is the best place to put glutathione at? I have added it to the ones on my sternum, but let's just review what's better.
Yeah, so you could put it on your sternum. When you put it on your sternum here, right in the middle, in between your breasts, that's where your thymus gland is. And your thymus gives you a lot of energy, which is why you see, people or apes that hit the thymus gland, because as you hit it, you're releasing thymine. So that's a good place to put it. The research studies were all on the neck bump or below the belly button. So if you're based on what it is that you're trying to accomplish, like if you want something that has to do with the eyes, the brain, your autonomic nervous system, I would put it on your neck bump. You could never go wrong putting it on your neck bump or below your belly button. If you're needing to detox, maybe, let's say you had a bad meal and you got food poisoning, or you're feeling that, oh, you ate a lot of, we're during the holidays right now, so people are drinking more alcohol. They're eating a lot more sweets, pies, Polish cookies, limoncello, Italian liquors. So you're eating a lot of stuff you don't normally eat throughout the year. So maybe you want to take that glutathione patch and maybe you want to put it under your belly button. It's still going to work through your entire body, but by putting it on the acupuncture point below your belly button, that CV6 point, just 3 finger widths below the belly button, that relates to anything related to conception vessel 6. So conception has to do with your reproductive organs, your hormones, your digestion. Those are the main two, your anything reproductive, hormonal, and digestive. So you can do either of those. If someone's trying to repair, let's say whether you have a torn cataract or you maybe had shingles or you had anything going on where you have glaucoma or something like that, you might want to, for a while, put it over the affected eye. And so again, it just depends on the person. But like I
Right.
said, a no-brainer for everybody is on your neck bump.
Good. Okay.
And
Yeah, I'll pay attention to that. I have my eye from the shingles, everything's gotten better, but that eye is still, it flares up very sore. And then, so I put, I don't know, the use patches up here, and I have done ice wave. Now that is another question with ice wave. The two patches, is there a particular way to position the two patches?
yes. So because you're having an issue with your eyes, I would put tan on left, white on right.
Oh, okay.
The ice wave patches is a two-patch system like energy enhancer. We only have two
Yeah.
patches that are two-patch. So you can see that the one on the left is tan
Yep.
and
Yeah.
the one on the white, this is right. So for your eyes, you would put left temple, right temple. You could also put it above left eyebrow. I would actually put it on the temples. That's
Okay.
also for people who have migraines and headaches. Every single person that I have patched in the United States and in Europe that had a migraine and they were in front of me,
Uh-huh.
I put X39 on their brainstem, on the governing vessel 14 on their neck bump, and then I put ice wave on left, right of the temples, and like 30 seconds, 2 minutes tops. They're like, they're always looking for their headache or their migraine out in the horizon. It's so amusing to look at,
Uh-huh.
like, and some people could not look all the way to the left or right, but now you see them going.
Oh, wow.
You're like, where did the migraine go? It's like, oh my God, the pain is gone. And for some of them, it's been days that they've had that migraine.
Uh-huh.
And so it's really interesting. They're like, wow, it's like, how does this work? Yeah. So that's very thin area. Like you're almost touching your brain when you put a patch there. So that's why
Yeah.
it's powerful. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Super. Well, we're getting there.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And nerves, just know, I'm surprised, I'm always surprised by the results that people have. Anything having to do with the brain and the eyes, I always figure it's probably going to take close to a year, but it's surprised how people oftentimes get relief. It may not be 100% complete reparation where you have zero pain, but they do have relief in the first 36 to 90 days. But to have that complete reparation, nerves are, even for kids to rebuild nerves, it's a tough one. Your body, it requires a lot of peptides, which this is activating peptides. And it requires, peptides are like a subcategory, like you have short chain peptides and long chain peptides.
Right. Yeah.
DHKCU is a tripeptide, so it's like three chains of peptides. Those make up proteins. It takes the body a lot of protein to rebuild nerves. So you might want to add a little extra protein to your diet, whether it's,
Okay. Yeah.
you could take, supplements that are organic to add protein
Yeah.
to your diet, or you could eat more liver, more meat or certain fish to get more, or mushrooms. There's shiitake mushrooms, button mushrooms, there's also
Yeah.
mushrooms. So just being conscious that you need a little bit more protein,
Okay.
because it's a very complicated structure to rebuild. And if there's a snack that you want to eat that has kind of a good source of protein, it's got some proteins and manganese in it. When my son was recuperating from Guillain-Barré, because he was paralyzed from the neck down, and
Wow.
it's like, oh my gosh, it was so much work to get him to gain weight, let alone, we had to inject fat lipids directly in an IV to keep him from losing any more weight. So I discovered that, if you look at the nutritional components of figs, like fig Newtons, I'm like, okay, so it's not like purely junk food. So you can actually give like fig cookies that actually have fig paste, or just eating figs. That
Yeah.
helps. So, and it's just to give you some variety, because it's like there's only so much of any one thing that you can eat, right? So
Yeah, right. I make like shakes with pea protein as the base, and then magnesium and things like that. So that seems to help. I haven't done it for a while. I've been doing them regularly, but I better get my act back together here.
yeah. And sometimes I want people to be, one of the things that I'm really big on is just being aware of reading your own body and knowing that sometimes like you're like, oh, I know I should be doing this, but you kind of feel like put off by it. That's your body telling you, it's like right now you don't need that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe like it doesn't matter what the food is. It's like, oh, well, I've been having this for a while. Or you'll notice like, oh, wow, I just realized it's been about a week since I've had XYZ. So just honor your body and notice, because there's sometimes you'll get a feeling like I need to have more vitamin C right now.
Yeah.
Your
Okay.
body might be telling you you're low on vitamin C. So either have more lemonade, lemon juice, oranges, or other sources, pineapple, acai berries, acerola cherries.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so just honor that. And, for those of you who've done the sway test and the polarity test in recent, the sway test is an easy way to just, if you want more evidence or more confirmation, then you'll see that your body will go, yes, like move forward in that direction, or it'll push back going, get away from that. So,
Yeah. Okay. I'm very familiar with that. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. That's great.
You're welcome. Okay, anybody else have any more questions? And then we'll have to wrap it up. If everybody here is on the patches, I won't go through the cost and so forth. If there's somebody here that wants that information, just let me know.
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Yes, this is Denise, and I wanted to ask you, you showed a diagram of the X39, the X49, the glutathione, and the EON down the back of the neck. And you said something about overlapping them.
Yeah, so in fact, if you look here, and in fact, I have another picture. Here I show how, can you see here how the adhesive is overlapping, but the white circles are not overlapping each other. They can be abutted, right next to each other.
Yes.
You're not,
Yes.
you want the entire signal of that entire patch completely touching your skin. And so that's the number one thing. You can overlap adhesive, but you don't overlap the white patch, because that's where all the crystals are, and that's what's signaling the body.
Okay, and what would be the purpose? Why would you line them up like that on the back of the neck?
If you're wearing 39, 49, glutathione, carnosine, and EON, like for the first year, I wore this pretty much, all the time like this.
Oh, okay.
The Fantastic Five because I was focusing on, of course I wanted entire body repair because the patches work systemically. So it's going to repair your entire body. But I was, at the CV or governing vessel 14, that's where your brainstem goes into your spinal system to signal your whole body. So that's where I primarily have worn the patches. Now that I've been wearing the patches over a year, now I'm taking X39 just for anyone that this might help. X39 and X49 during the day. And I have glutathione, carnosine, and EON that I wear at night, along with Alavita to activate the pineal gland. And I'll put carnosine on the right temple, because that gives you very, very vivid lucid dreams. And then you remember the dreams during the day. So So that's why it's one of the reasons why I offer the patch placement. I like to make sure that we're taking and addressing whatever your issues are, whatever your goals are, whatever your concerns are. For some people, who have pain 24/7, sometimes we'll split up the patches so that they're always being activated, different signals in the body, but 12 hours these, 12-hour those. But you can never go wrong putting them on your neck bump. But like I said, Carol, she wears some above her eye because she has that shingles condition and so forth. We don't have any medical claims. We're just paying attention to the organ and organ systems, because that's patches take care of not conditions or a particular disease. It's taking care of restoring that entire organ. And let's say if it's your stomach is not your entire digestive system. Tied to your stomach, You also have your large intestine, you have your small intestine, you have your pancreas, you have your spleen. Those are also part of your digestive system. So the patches are going to take care of whatever issues you have in any of those. And if you have any major issue like IBS, for example, it's going to repair that so that that disappears and your entire digestive system is going to be repaired and regenerated. So you'll have a restoration of function that's optimized.
Mhm. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any other questions here?
Yes, I have. This is Gail again. I
Hi.
apologize, but I don't know your background. I mean, are you
So I'm
nutritionist or
So I'm a holistic. I started off way back when, almost 30 years ago in emergency medicine. 2004, my son almost died of a neurological condition called Guillain-Barré. So that forced me into a deep dive and a self-directed PhD in neurological, like pediatric neurology. And then over the years, then I kind of moved over more to adult neurology. So I eventually became a holistic care practitioner that does repatterning of the brain to release physical and emotional trauma. And then I
okay.
started using these patches in 2022 because I get a lot of people with gunshots to the head, tumors, seizures, epilepsy, a lot of neurological conditions that you've never heard of. So I started using them with my patients and had extraordinary effects and responses. And Dr. Nirmala is the person who introduced me to the patches. And we still are writing, had already been writing a medical book based on her medical thesis. And so I don't know when that's going to get done. It's going to be a big book, but anyhow, so that's how I ended up here.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious because I want to pass this along to people who've been asking more detail about the patches, and it's been very thorough. Thank you.
So this is this is being recorded. So as soon as we're done, I'll upload it. Sometimes I simulcast to YouTube. I didn't do that today, but we'll have the recording up later today.
Okay, and how do you pronounce, is your first name Dame?
Yeah, Dame is actually a title. So just call me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Dame Lillian Walker.
So you are a dame.
Yes, I was knighted.
Okay. First dame I ever met.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
Okay, thank you.
okay, you're quite welcome. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, if we have no other questions, then we are going to conclude this recording. This will be posted later today. I will also post the recording from last Tuesday before I left to the Anti-Aging and Longevity Fest in Vegas. So I know some of you are still waiting for that. I told you I would have that up today. So that'll be uploaded first, then this one will be uploaded. We will be broadcasting at 7 o'clock. If any of you have any questions, comments, or concerns, need patch placement or whatnot, we'll be doing an info Q&A just like this and getting the information out to people like you and anybody else that you have that might be interested. All right.
Is that 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, our time?
It's 7 o'clock Pacific time, so that would be 10 o'clock Eastern time. And
Okay.
we put the links in both the Evolve team as well as the Dame Lillian Stem Cell group for the people. Yeah. So you'll see it in both. I always post it in both. There's actually like 3 or 4 groups that I put that in, but yeah, you'll see it there. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Great
right.
call. Thank you so
You're
much.
quite welcome. Take care, my friends and gems. We'll see you later. Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.